Good evening, everybody. This is Adam Jacobi, GoIowaAwesome.com, and you are watching the Iowa Sports Review. This is cats. What are you gonna do? Anyway, this is our post game for the Minnesota game, which Iowa triumphantly won 27 to 22. And there's definitely going to be some hot takes about today's game. Uh, I'll say this. I don't think anybody's opinion of Brian Ferentz changed after this game. And we're talking about a game where Iowa scored, 27 points in regulation. Backup quarterback threw for over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. All's fine and dandy, right? Right? Yeah. No. I think we got a lot to talk about. So, this is a show primarily foremost for all of you, the viewers, the fans, the Hawkeyes. Out among you, I'm merely a vehicle, a vessel for your hot takes. So if you're watching this on Twitter, hop into the YouTube link that's right there on the tweet. I think it is, right? Yeah, it is. And hop into our YouTube channel here. Hop into the chat, which is going to be at the bottom or bottom right of your screen, and you're going to see some other people popping in with their hot takes. Let's talk a little bit of football. Why don't we? Raise your hand if you would have accepted 8-2 back in early August. Good to see you again, my friend. And hey, hands up right now. I absolutely would have taken 8-2 because they're, especially at the beginning of the season, thinking about, there were 2 ranked teams just to open up the entire season, right? So we didn't know that Indiana was going to turn back into Indiana, although, maybe we should have recognized it. But, Iowa State, say what you will about them. But boy, it feels like the Clones should be better than 6-4, right? And for those of you who are just tuning in who didn't have your TV your TV on ESPN2, I'm going to break a little bit of news for those who don't already know it, so it's not really breaking at all. But Texas Tech blew a 17-point lead in the second half to the Clones, and then drove down the field with a minute left and hit a 62-yard field goal to win it. Oof. That's a rough way to go, especially in Lubbock, So, yeah, I absolutely would have taken 8-2. Still am happy with it. Like, I'm happy with 8-2 right now. And it's good to have the little brothers from out west show us, we can think that there's been a little bit of adversity, that there's been some missed expectations this season. But we don't have to go through what they're going through right now. And, it also their conference is crumbling beneath their feet. So, Hawk fans, however grumpy you are about today's game, and I get it, it can always be worse. Just look at the boys' names. What's happened to Tanner Morgan? Well, Ben, good question. And yeah, it definitely looks like some level of regression from him because, say what you will about those 2 big pass plays, but it could have been worse. He definitely missed some open receivers at critical points in the game. And, he did look good as a sophomore, but he was also throwing to guys like Rashad Bateman, and a host of other really good wide receivers whose names I'm not going to bother myself with remembering. Now, they're the bad guys. There's a 100. I don't know what that means. Anyway, so it could be worse. And, at the end of the day, 8-2, top 20, not only would I have taken it, but I think that this is where people would have expect. Oh yeah, there's 100 programs that would gladly switch places with Iowa. Absolutely, absolutely, yes. And um, this seems where Iowa is right now. This seems in line with what we would have expected to begin the season. It might not be in line with what we wanted after, say, the Penn State game. And I'm old enough to remember that too. But um, the course corrected itself. We'll put it that way. And I don't think that there's any reason to be upset about Iowa, top 20, probably knocking on top 15, depending on how the other teams do. And, sitting there 8-2 with just games against Illinois and Nebraska left. And, those two teams are going to pose, problems in their own way. But, those Iowa's at least going to be favored pretty substantially in both of them. This is what you would want. This is, it's not, they're going to need some help to win the Big Ten West. We know that. But by and large, this is easy to be happy with, I think, anyway. And all you have to do is just look around college football for, numerous, dozens of programs, Power 5 programs, who wish they could be in Iowa's spot right now. We had in the Discord, by the way, hop into the Go Iowa Awesome Discord on game days. Always hot and popping. Anyway, we had somebody in the Discord a week or 2 weeks ago who was also a Virginia Tech fan. And, we were obviously grousing about this or that. But the fan reminded us, hey, Virginia Tech and Iowa were hand in hand as, the underrated, the B plus players, all stars, the every now and then take a shot at the national championship, but pretty frequently at least competing for divisional wins. Iowa didn't have divisions. The Big Ten didn't have that in the early 2000s or anything like that. But, like a consistent top 15, top 20 team. And, once Frank Beamer left, Virginia Tech started to, lose its grip on that. And would Virginia Tech trade places with Iowa right now? Yes, of course. Absolutely. And we're not talking about some scrub program. This is Virginia Tech, the team that played for a national championship just 22 years ago. I mean, Michael Vick's long gone. But the point is, there's a vanishingly small number of programs who would be upset with their team being where Iowa's is right now. Good to see you again, as always, friend. Did Ferentz have Minneapolis or Minnesota at 5.5? Yeah, boy. When I said that we're going to have a lot to talk about, obviously the play calling at the end of the game, first and foremost, and honestly, that conversation already started because my buddy Kyle called me as soon as the game was over and was asking pretty much the exact same questions that you are. And again, a touchdown ends it for all intents and purposes. Only a touchdown ends it. And everybody knew that a touchdown ends it. And everybody knew that Minnesota was going to go all out to try to stop the run. They were selling out for it all the way. No play actions. Just two QB sneaks by a guy who is maybe 200 pounds, maybe. And then a toss play, which, up against a line that was selling out to stop it. Goodson didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance. There are right and wrong ways to approach goal to go situation, especially trying to protect a 2-point lead, minute left, this and that. I don't think that's the way to go about it. I don't. Nefarious71 asks, does Kirk trust his defense or just love late game drama? Porque no los dos, I mean, the track record says. Now, obviously, coaches aren't their caricatures. And, on some level, I'm sure Kirk just wanted to get out of there with a win. But he kind of likes drama, right? A little bit, a little. I think he does. Because I don't know how to describe that otherwise. I don't know how to describe the end of the Northwestern game, the end of the Penn State game. He was just kneeling so he could punt again at the end of the Penn State game. Who does that? First down equals game over. No, let's kneel. And then this. It's baffling because we've seen enough college football, which means everybody on that staff has definitely seen enough college football to know that if you let a team hang around for all 60 minutes, let them stay within one possession, anything can happen. More likely than not everything will happen. It's not like Penn State was going to throw an 85-yard bomb at the end of the game after Iowa, let them have the ball back. We knew that wasn't going to happen, but it could have. That their personnel was just scary enough that it could have. And the really great teams, they don't get lucky over and over. They just put teams away and keep them put away. And we didn't really see that this week or last week. And that's not always a Brian Ferentz thing. It's not always a Kirk Ferentz thing. Lay the blame at whosever feet you want. But at the end of the day, we need to see Iowa put teams away and keep them put away. It is as simple as that. And, maybe Kirk just has a substantial holding in like heart medication companies. Maybe that's it. Although I guess there's no real like boutique medicine companies. Like it's well, I think what I'm talking about is like Merck. and I don't think that you're really going to move the needle. Anyway, this is a bad investment plan. Don't listen to me for investment advice at all. But yeah. But hey, 8-2, ranked in the top 20, heading into two unranked teams, or unranked games. Game 2 games against unranked teams. And whether or not they go to the Big Ten championship is something that is out of Iowa's hands at this point. Okay. Again, not really where you wanted to be, at the start of October, but those are the circumstances now. Okay. All right. I'm happy with it. I'm really good with another season of, so far, every single week this team has been ranked. And I think last season was the first time that had ever happened under Kirk Ferentz. If I'm getting that one right, or maybe it was 2019. Anyway, it's a feat that they didn't accomplish until very recently. And there have been some good teams that also spent some time unranked. And it's nice to see this team sustain their success while there's, people watching, for lack of a better term. There's so much of the Iowa fan psyche that's sort of tied up in, oh, no, don't rank us preseason. Don't do that. That's when all the bad seasons happen. Keep us unranked. Let us, fly under the radar for a little bit. The next thing you know, you look up, we're 6-1 and we're finally in the top 15. That's, I don't like that mindset because it seems sort of like, I don't know, like weird, voodoo, like it's sort of the same thing as like saying, oh, don't tie your shoes before the game, right? Like tie them during the game because that's luckier. The Iowa wins when you do your shoe superstitions, right? um so yeah, it's good to see Iowa take the step from plucky little Big Ten guy who might sneak their way into the top 25 to, oh, no, we're here. We got some meat on our bones, and we're in the top 25, and we're gonna stay there. We might even take out a mortgage here in the top 25. Who knows? Yeah. So David, welcome back, David. Good to see you, Dirty Dave. Purdue lost, Oklahoma lost, and it didn't look good either. Auburn lost. A&M and Ole Miss playing. So yeah, there's definitely some room for Iowa to move back up, but at the end of the day, all they got to do is just keep taking care of winning. And they've got 2 games left to do that. Maybe one in Indianapolis, maybe not. I haven't really looked at the tiebreakers and how that would work. I know that they really need Minnesota to beat Wisconsin. I just don't know what else they need on top of that, other than 2 nice and shiny victories. But at the end of the day, with a 10-2 record, with what would assuredly be a spot in the top 15, that's gonna get some major bowl attention. How could it not? And that's fun, right? That's fun, regardless of regardless of whether they get a chance to play Ohio State in Indianapolis, which typically does not end well for Big Ten West teams. Put that aside. It's out of our control, or it's out of the team's control. So, is what it is. I think Minnesota or Nebraska over Wisconsin will do it if Iowa wins out. Nebraska over Wisconsin would be very funny. Very funny. It's also not happening, but it would be hilarious. We're not going to talk about what would happen if Nebraska won the other game. No. It's not happening. Anyway, but kudos to Scott Frost for, apparently making it to the Iowa game. He's doing it with half his coaching staff gone, but he's still alive and has a reduced buyout. Yeah, what do you all think? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, chat, how happy are you with this win? Scale of 1 to 10. I'll go first. 7.7. Right? That's, it's a C+ win, but you'll take it. C's get degrees, right? Don't I know? Yeah, I'm right there with it. I'm still not thrilled with the play calling, but at the same time, okay, here's the thing. We give Brian Ferentz a whole lot of grief about doing predictable things. And on the second to last possession, all I'm going to say is this. They threw it deep. They had a guy open, and Minnesota's defender lucked into a pass broken up. He had no idea the ball was coming. It just bounced off his arm. So, and that would have been something close to a game breaker in and of itself, right there. Right. And so the fact that it didn't work, whenever we criticize coaches' play calls, usually the criticism goes along the lines of that play didn't work, bad call. But, there's probably some circumstances that happen on the field that the coaches really have no control over. And, at the end of the day, it's up to execution. And that execution can go one of 2 ways. It could be Keegan Johnson dropping that pass, that hit him directly in the hands on that third down, or it can be Keegan Johnson, beasting out of two simultaneous tackles and taking it down the sideline for a touchdown. Like, execution means a whole lot of different things. Very good, very bad, everything in between. And I'm not sure that Iowa's execution is good enough that all of the blame can be laid at the coach's feet. This is not me being a Brian Ferentz apologist. This is not me being nepotism yay. But I think, what's a good way to put this? There's probably some element of truth when the coaches are saying that there's players that are on the field that don't always have the full playbook available to them. I don't think Padilla is one of them. All of their statements have been, to the effect of he's able to run everything that Petrus is. And I believe that. But it's the people around him that, it can get really shaky. The offensive line still really shaky. Tyler Goodson had to work really, really hard for what ended up being 59 yards on 18 carries and 1 catch for 4 yards. He had to work really hard for that. And, some of that is Minnesota sold out to stop the run early and often. And some of that is that Iowa's offensive line still not good, but also being retooled because of injury. So, like, are they good? No. But is there consistency? Also, no. So, I get it. I don't like it. And, I mean, frankly, there's probably some conversation that has to happen about developing these players to be good enough to be on the field, or, lack of development thereof. But the coaches have also earned the benefit of the doubt that what they're trying to do here generally works more often than not. And what they're trying to do here usually involves offensive line development. So I think for now, we can at least assume that the line's going to be better next year than it is this year, even with Linderbaum almost assuredly going to the NFL. Like, Tyler, if you or your family are watching this, go to the NFL, get paid. Don't do this for free. You have nothing left to prove. You're amazing. So, but I think the other people around him, and losing Kyler Schott, which is he's going to be a guy that we're going to miss as fans. But I think there's still enough experience, enough talent, enough oomph that they've got the pieces to make that a good line sooner than we think. Not like the Nebraska game soon, but maybe by the middle of next season. Could be there. We'll see. It's fun. It's good times. Let's see here. Did we go over the defensive game plan tonight? Joe, we haven't gotten there yet. Good to see you again, my friend. Yeah, the defense. I've said for a while now that PJ Fleck understands more than most newer Big Ten coaches do that it all starts with the offensive line. If you've got the line, you can do pretty much whatever you want, as long as it makes sense. And, they miss a lot of running backs. Ibrahim, when he went down with that Achilles, that was brutal. That stunk. But they still got the line. And the line, played its game of the year for them. Well, we got to give them credit for that. And, their running backs, the guys that were actually healthy and able to make it onto the field, Bucky Irving, I think, was one of them. Those were some shifty little sons of guns, weren't they? Knew how to, it wasn't always breaking tackles as much as it was eluding tacklers. And it was sort of a clever game plan. One, because the run was working to start it off. If Minnesota was just getting, 1 yard, negative 2 yards, 0 yards, 2 yards, 3, negative 1, like some certain Big Ten teams, the game plan would have been ludicrous. But the fact that they were able to start off with a coherent running game, all with a redshirt senior at QB and a wide receiver that he clearly has as a favorite target. What that allowed Minnesota to do was keep running. I think they had 10 straight runs on one of their drives. But what they're also doing is just watching and waiting for Iowa to stop giving help to whoever is covering Ottman Bell. And as soon as that happens, going long. And, we saw what happens when that happens. Even like if Matt Hankins can get beat, anyone was going to get beat there. So, by the way, Hank played a pretty good game, all things told, for a guy who gave up 2 touchdowns. Not great for a cornerback, but I thought, tell me what you think, but I think by and large, Hankins played a pretty decent game. The really sexy stuff like interceptions, no. But he's never been a, go out there and pick it off 3 times kind of guy anyway. He's more of the, taking away the route to begin with. So I thought that for someone who got thrown at as often as Hankins did, like I think they threw more at him than at Riley Moss, which is unusual. But it's also something that worked for Purdue, so what do I know? Aside from those 2 big plays, one of which he depending on who you ask, he fully redeemed with that punch out and recovery. The referees didn't agree. I think it was so close. I don't know if Kieft, is that his name? Kieft? Kieft? It's a terrible name. Anyway, I don't know if he actually scored or not. It wouldn't surprise me if he did. But it was so close. And I really wish that the stadium was set up to have cameras going up and down the line. And that was something that maybe pylon cams would have been able to help with. Maybe not. Those are not usually great quality. They're very low to the ground. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is on that. I really wish we could have had a really definitive explanation, like that one, like perfect view. We didn't. So it's too bad, but all of which is to say, Hankins did all right. He did all right. And I'm happy with that. Nefarious, how did Bucky Irving not go to UW? Exactly. Gosh, what was the other one that I just recently saw? I'm not going to sit here and make you guys just watch me think for 45 seconds. But there was another one that I recently saw where it's like, why are you there? Anyway. Pylon cams are barely better than potato cameras. Yeah, like you would have better luck with just like somebody with an iPhone just like standing at the sideline and maybe like pinch open the Zoom a little bit so you can actually see the ball. I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. Jeremy, of course the sideline's going to be full, but it's not like they don't have a camera there because there's too many recruits. They don't have a camera there because the Big Ten network just didn't bring enough people to have that many cameras. It just is the case. And that's not an Iowa thing. That's not a Gary Barta thing. That's the state of college football. Excuse me. And the state of, for I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but it's the state of the Big Ten network. There's certain things you get and certain things you don't get. And a perfect end zone line or goal line camera, both sides of the field. It sounds easy to us, but these stadiums by and large are not built for that, especially stadiums that were built in, 1929, right? Like, if it were really easy to set up that view, everyone would have done it by now. So it's what it is. Yeah. Well, now you tell me you're kidding, but I needed to get content out of it now. I need the content. Speaking of content, we are a half hour into this, so here's a little recap, refresh, reset for everybody. My name is Adam Jacobi, editor at large. I had to remember what my own job title is. Editor at large of GoIowaAwesome.com. You are watching the Iowa Sports Review. This is our post-game, legally not allowed to call it a sound-off show, but that's the format. We're here for all of you in the chat. So hop on in with your hottest of takes. I think my hottest take so far has been that Brian Ferentz didn't really call as bad of a game as everyone thinks he did. Again, like nuclear heat. But yeah, like this is a show for all of you. I'm just the extremely handsome vessel for all your hot takes. So yeah, like do you think this team belongs in the top 20? Because I think the answer is yes. Right? Like the Penn State game still happened. The Iowa State game still happened. And Iowa State was, ranked at the time. It was game day. It was a whole shebang. And like I think one thing that frustrates me about the way that we evaluate teams is, people are going to say, oh, the Iowa State win looks worse now. And it's like, everybody thought that Iowa State was a top 10. I got an eyelash thing going on there. Everyone thought at the time Iowa State was a top 10 team. And like all the hype was there. All of the attention was there. And so Iowa State's season obviously has not gone to plan because it never does. But I don't think that should take away from the win as it happened. Who's to say that if Iowa State wins that game against Iowa, that their trajectory doesn't change pretty dramatically for the rest of the season as well? Right? Like, who's to say? If Iowa goes ahead and, lays an egg in that game, if Petrus's shoulder gets hurt early, if whatever happens. Who's to say that the Clones wouldn't be in the top 10 right now? Who's to say that they wouldn't be 9-1, 10-0? Who knows? Because there is so much of a psychological aspect to not only each play, not only each game, each week, each practice, leading up to it, but the grind of a 12-week, or add in your bye weeks, whatever, the grind of a 12-game season. Coaches try to coach this out of their players, but I think all of them would tell you, would look you in the eyes and tell you that doesn't always work, that there are, there's a flow, there's a rhythm to the season, and that rhythm and flow gets disrupted by losses, much more than wins. So if Iowa State, they get their big game day moment, they beat Iowa. Again, this is pure fantasy. or either that, or I'm doing like the worst, like modern Orson Welles War of the Worlds sort of thing. Happening live right now. Iowa State beats Iowa. See, College Game Day was all over it. No, but if that happens, if that were the case, if Iowa State wins that game, I really don't think that they would be 7-3 instead of 6-4 now. I think they would have a better record than that. I don't think that they would have shuffled into Lubbock today and let Texas Tech, who doesn't even have a full-time head coach right now, although shouts out to Jerry Kill. I don't think they would have let them take a 17-point lead because, boy, the Red Raiders are not good. I don't think the Clones would have given up over 500 yards of offense, and I don't think they would have given up a 62-yard field goal to win the game. I think that's the sort of team that needs something to play for, and they're sort of running out of things to play for in Ames this season. So, but all of which is to say, I don't think that it's fair to punish Iowa for derailing a top 10 team season by saying, oh, well, the win doesn't matter anymore. Yes, it does. Of course it does. Right? That was a top 10 win, and you're not going to convince me that Iowa doesn't deserve credit for it anymore. Same thing with Penn State, who also just slipped to 6-4. 5-4, maybe. Anyway, they've got 4 losses as well. Poor rats. But again, that game happened. Like, we were all there, or at least I was there. We all witnessed it. And again, who's to say that if that game goes differently, that Penn State, would they be a 3-loss team if they win in Iowa City? I doubt it. I really doubt it. So I don't, all of which is to reiterate over and over that I don't like teams getting punished for big wins turning out to be not as big, because I think that's not fair to the moment in which they won those games. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense? Anyway, second long outside zone. And here's what's really frustrating about that call. Like, sometimes it works, but when it doesn't work, Tyler Goodson, and I don't mean this as a criticism of him, but he is not the guy you want to run into a badly blocked line. Because usually the way it works with him is, he comes to that stuttering stop and he's going to try to change directions, but really all that does is make a more stationary target for the defenders who have broken through the line. There's really no good way to handle it when 3 guys miss their block, but it would be less disastrous if Iowa was giving the ball to a guy who was just hoping to just fall forward, as opposed to turn nothing into something. And while that sounds like I'm saying more Mark Weisman, less Tyler Goodson, no. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, you want Goodson to be Goodson. And he is an all Big Ten talent, and you want to, you want to be able to use him. But if a play's going to not work, if it's going to be blocked poorly, it would be better if that ended in like no gain, maybe even just a loss of 1 instead of like a loss of 4, like we saw on the last play that effectively took a 4th down try for a touchdown out of reach. So, and again, I don't put that on Goodson. I don't. He has tremendous skills, and the way that he uses those skills means that he's not going to be able to make much out of a badly blocked run. It just is what it is. So it would be nice if there were, and Pottebaum's not going to be that guy either. You don't, if you're running a zone with a fullback like him, like, you've really lost the plot. So again, I guess this is a compliment to Brian Ferentz that they never tried that, because please don't try that. But it would be nice if there was like a big back, like a LaShawn Daniels type, that was on the roster that could, at the very least, who knows a thing or two about, being a tailback, being a running back, a halfback. but also knows a thing or two about putting your shoulder down and going to work when the lineman isn't, or when the line isn't working for you. That, TCU. I thought, no. Texas Tech fired their coach, right? Hang on. Texas Tech head coach fired. Yeah, they fired Matt Wells October 25th, 2000. Okay, so Sonny Cumbie is the interim coach. So it's not Jerry Kill. Okay. In retrospect, it would have been weird that Jerry Kill was running the air raid, right? Like, I should have known better. On some level, that's on me. Yeah, Sonny Cumbie, not Jerry Kill. Thank you, David. All right. David, I said I'm not a Brian Ferentz apologist, and you misspelled Jacobi. So maybe Adam Jacobi with a K. Maybe he's the Brian Ferentz apologist. Go find him, not me. All right. So, man, 2 games left. Like, that went by quick, didn't it? Like, really. I don't know if it's just the whole like pandemic brain thing going here, but it feels like the season like just started not that long ago. And now we got like 2 games left. I'm not saying like make the season longer or anything like that. But boy, 12 games come and go really quickly, don't they? It's really a metaphor for life. I don't know what I'm talking about. I can't. I just let those words out of my mouth. Didn't think why I was saying them, because I don't think it is a metaphor for life at all. No, it's not. So never mind. Are we excited about Illinois? No. Oh no. Because like Plan Sick Days said on Twitter, like, if you think this is fun, nobody thought this was fun. Wait until Illinois next week. And like, Bielema is going to be at peak Bielema for that one. Like, it's going to be 9-man offensive line fronts. Another steady dosage of 12 play, all rush drives. The over under might be in the 20s. Don't bet, but like, that is going to be a mess. Just an absolute wrench fight. The Big Ten West in particular has been, knocking football back a few decades this year. That is going to be some real Stone Age stuff. And so, like, if you like rock fights, there you go. If you don't, there you go. I'm so sorry, because there's nothing that we're going to be able to do about it. Like, Illinois is not going to throw the ball. We know that, right? And so in a weird way, it's tough, because that takes away one of Iowa's favorite things to do, which is intercept the ball. But you can't intercept a handoff. That's how they get you. Oh no, KU beating Texas 14. I don't expect that to keep up. I don't. But that would be hilarious. Oh man, like, I'm ambivalent about Les Miles as a coach, as a person, as whatever. Like, I don't have any emotional investment in whether or not he succeeds at Kansas, but I really want him to win this game. Oh, it'd be delicious, wouldn't it? I mean, they're not going to win, but what if they did? That would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. All right. Well, with that, friends, our chat has been winding down. So, hey, 8-2, right? Still in the top 20. Going to be knocking on the top 15. Fingers crossed. Alex Padilla, the Papadilla, as somebody in the Discord named him. I'm not sure I like that yet, but hey, he won a start. So, yeah, like cheer up, Hawkeye fans. Like I know that this game was really frustrating. Um, and it should have been a double-digit victory, right? But a win is a win, and we've got 8 wins to show for it now, 8-2. Um, you know, if this is what bad football looks like, Iowa just winning by 5, which is about where the line was. Okay. All right. I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it. So, I hope all of you are okay with it too. I hope all of you are going to have yourselves a beautiful weekend. Um, and with that, I'll let you all be on your merry way. I'm going to have myself a nice thick bowl of chili. With that, go Iowa Awesome. Go Hawks. Good night.